Good day everyone, so hope you're all doing really well. As a Kokomi main, I always try and see whether new characters that release in Genshin can work well with Kokomi in a variety of teams, and that is what we'll be exploring today with Kokomi and Nicole. Now it goes without saying, because Nicole is an attack buffer, it's probably going to be in our best interest to use something like a Klee and a Mavrika, and I'll look at this from two different angles. The first one being, if you are a very long time player, you probably have had ample opportunity to at least get your Klee to about C2. And if you are someone that has played more recently, then having a C0 Mavrika, a Nicole, a Kokomi, and a C6 Sucrose really isn't that far-fetched. But I mean, obviously different people have like different characters and different builds, so your mileage may obviously vary. But in any case, so what is the strat? Well, we'll put in Kokomi with Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayer and a bit of a weapon skin, and then the plain old usual instructor set, because that EM is going to help a bit for some of the Vaporize. Nicole is just going to be C0R1. My Nicole is not the best build, I will admit that, but hey, you know what it is, what it is. Her talents are level 8 and such, because we haven't had enough time to get enough materials. You kind of like the Nova all spiel. And then here's my little Klee. Again, she's also not super optimally built. In fact, I still want to really optimize her, but it is pretty fun, and I also forgot to crown this talent, so that's definitely one thing that I want to do. But in any case, what we want to do primarily today is just show how Kokomi with her buffing and Nicole with her buffing, which is pretty cool, can give us some pretty cool results in the Spiral Abyss. So let's take a C0 Mavrika for a bit of a ride. So now we've got a bit of an interesting enemy here in the Spiral Abyss. It's not just going to be a straight up DPS set. So what we have to do is just play a bit carefully. So what I want is to try and get the enemy's gauge, or that little pyro gauge, a bit up, because that's going to start reducing its res, and then we can start hitting a bit harder. So in this case, I really want to control the amount of pyro that I put onto the enemy. So in the first couple of rotations, you'll see this, it's not going to look like a lot is happening, but we want to be very strategic about it. That's why I'm not trying to over apply pyro, as with the case of Klee, because in Klee's case you can very easily break the shield and so on. But as you can see here, as we start getting that little pyro gauge upper and higher, we reduce the res, and if you now time everything very carefully, here with Kokomi, you can see I'm trying to use Kokomi's normal and charge attacks to guarantee a Hydro Aura. We get a nice little Vaporize hit, and there we go. We can take care of the boss without the little Cryo Shield. So that's kind of the strat there. On the second floor, you'll see here we're just going to quickly follow again a bit of a same type of pattern. Ideally what we want is Kokomi to infuse Sucrose's burst with Hydro, because that'll just then allow us to get a couple of more hits. But Klee is she applies so much pyro that I think even in certain cases she'll just dominate the Hydro Aura. But in any case, you can just see Klee is she just powers through, so that's definitely the effect. And I must say, this is what I love about Nicole. She is just so much easier than Bennett to play, and that is the cool thing for me. It's just like, why do you need Circle Impact? Because now you've got enemies that are constantly dancing and hitting around, and they award you if you have a shield, and Nicole just gives you all of that. She just gives you this portable Bennett. And the thing is, a lot of people might be like, yeah, but technically Bennett is better and so on. And my argument's basically this: your Bennett has probably reached its ceiling at C6. Nicole, you can always get like 2 constellations. Your Nicole can always get better, and in a certain sense, I think after C2, she is better than Bennett in every single way. Also, the fact that her elemental skill can hit in a larger radius, whereas with Bennett, if you miss your elemental skill, then you kind of miss that one, what do you call it? Yeah, you miss getting some pyro particles. It's not as easy to recharge because of the cost of your elemental burst. So in this sense, Bennett truly is like the 4-star counterpart to Nicole. So I'm finally glad that we can retire Bennett, because man, Nicole is just so much easier to play. It's just so much more fun. And you can see I'm just following the exact same strategy as earlier. Sometimes the Kokomi Sucrose Burst infusion doesn't want to work. Sucrose's Burst is a bit finicky like that. This is where you'd probably want to try and use something like a Kazuha. But in any case, you can see it's still very fun for me to drive, and then just to play with the characters that I want to play with. I really want to emphasize this. You can do better. There are better teams for Mavwika and for Nicole, but who cares? I just want to play with the characters that I have on my account without effectively trying to break the bank. So that's the perspective here, and you can see it's not like the amount of time it took for us to clear with Mavwika is going to be so bad that you can't clear on the other side. I think if you've got a C0 and C0 Nephaloma team on the other half, it's going to be very, very comfy to beat it in any case. But yeah, you can see a little clears just being an absolute terror. I'm just blown away by how effective Nicole and Klee is, and just with the Hexray buff, just how quickly we're getting that damage out of Klee. It's just, it's so good to see, because I mean, Klee was the very first character that I had in Genshin Impact. My first, well, I lost my first 50-50 to Kaching, but after playing the game and really grinding it out, I remember I didn't spend a dime, I just got my Klee, and ever since I was just like, when I got Klee, I just took her throughout the entire overworld, Mondstadt, Leeway, all the way into the Spiral Abyss. So it's so much fun to get to use Klee in the modern state. So yeah, that's what it is. She just powers through this abyss, and it's all thanks to Nicole. And I just imagine having a stronger Nicole as well. I mean, you just be, yeah, it'll be very, very insane. Okay, so here again, we are here with Kokomi, the Kokomi team with Sucrose. So in this case, we do want to save that Sucrose burst. We can't obviously get the enemy's aura to go down as quickly because we don't have as much pyro, but we can hit like higher highs, but you can definitely see the consistency differences between what we had there with Klee and then with Mavwika. So obviously Mavwika, if you add constellations and all of that, will hit very, very hard, and that's kind of the point. So she herself is a melt specialist type of unit, and she can easily out DPS Klee even at C0, but obviously we're not using a Mavwika optimal team here. We're just trying to have some fun, and I think we can do it fairly successfully. I don't know. You guys can let me know what the feel is. Do you think this is just very slow, not the type of team you would even bother be playing with? For me, if you're a Kokomi lover and you have a limited account, then I think these options are fairly reasonable. But yeah, overall, I think Nicole is such a beautiful character, also in terms of her design. She's not as skimpy as Netha and Loma, so she definitely retains a bit more of, I think, that like angelic quality, if you understand the story and all of that. So I think it's very, very suitable that they didn't cheapen her out to be Gunnar bait. So I love that about her design. I like the fact that finally Bennett is being replaced by her, and also just the ease of playing. So for me, Nicole is definitely a modern type of must-have character, just because of how much else she can enable in the game. But certainly with Kokomi, it doesn't do any harm to play the two together, at least in my opinion. Alright, that's what I had for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know about anything, comments, suggestions down below. Happy to hear them. Keep well. Cheers.